One of the most important things an MLS does for its subscribers is to make sure everyone is on the same page when it comes to rules. Nowhere is this more important, perhaps, than when it comes to how the MLS handles the framework for offers of compensation. Let's be clear, MRED never sets compensation levels, but the MLS does provide options for members to calculate compensation. One of those options to do this is called net compensation. And here to talk with us about changes to the policy is Lynn Madison, Vice Chair of MRED's Board of Managers and a highly respected real estate trainer with a national presence. Lynn, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, John. My pleasure.
Let's begin with exactly what is MRED's net compensation policy now and how will it change?
So the policy right now is that if the compensation will be paid on the sales price minus any seller concessions that the buyer and the seller agreed to on the original contract. So if the seller, we sold the house for $100,000, the buyer asked for $3,000 of closing cost credits, seller agrees to pay them, we pay commission on $97,000. That's really all it is right now. And that has not changed. That is what it is in the new policy, but we added to that the fact that sometimes the properties do not appraise for the original purchase price. So using our same $100,000, if we sold the house for $100,000 and it only appraises for $97,000 and the seller agrees to reduce the price to $97,000, we will pay commission on the $97,000 sales price, not on the original sales price, because that's not what it closed at. We're paying it on the closing sales price.
So MRED has a pretty thorough process when it comes to making policy changes like this. And certainly anytime you're dealing with issues of setting up a structure for compensation, you operate with a lot of discussion. Talk to me a little bit about how the board approaches this type of an issue.
99.9% of the time, the first thing that happens is it goes to the localized rules groups. And we have one for urban, we have one for suburban, and we have one for rural. And all three of those groups that are made up of subscribers and participants in the MLS, they come back to the board of directors or board of managers with a recommendation. We take those recommendations into consideration. And I will tell you very honestly, quite often they don't all agree. And it comes back to the board of managers, and then the board of managers makes the final decision. And we also take into account all the emails that we get, all the conversations that we have with those of you who are not on those three groups, but are very willing to share your opinions and your ideas about how things should be done. So these decisions are not made in a bubble. They're not made without getting the input of a lot of people before the decisions are made. And this one especially, we reached out in many ways to many people to get their input on this one.
What options do subscribers have to handle offers of compensation under MRED's rules, or what MRED's rules will become?
But you can always offer a dollar amount. You can offer a percentage of the compensation. And with new construction, because that was clarified a little bit as well, it can be a definite dollar amount. It can be a percentage of the new construction price, or it could be a percentage of the new construction price with the buyer's upgrades. So you've got all the options on the new construction, and you have similar types of options on the resale properties as well. So it's not, no one is saying this is what you have to do. We're just giving you options.
I mean, if you don't like any of these options, is there another option?
Yeah, your own. I mean, if a brokerage company can create their, more or less, their own option if they wanted to do that. And the two brokerage companies together can have a discussion about compensation. So putting it in the MLS with the offer of compensation does not force the other brokerage company to accept that offer of compensation if the buyer brokerage company wants to negotiate that. We've been trying to get everybody to understand that for a long, long time, that compensation is negotiable. So, but we need, the MLS needs to be able to put out the basis of what the offer of compensation is.
When is this going into effect, Lynn? When will our members begin to see this reflected in Connect MLS?
May 10th. is when we're going to see the change in the MLS will be effective on May 10th.
We've been talking with Lynn Madison, Vice Chair of MRED's Board of Managers. Lynn, thanks so much for talking with us today.
My pleasure, John, anytime.